Uh-oh. I don't know. Well, I'll be. Welcome back, everyone, and this is the first on my channel. This is my very old, I've had it for about 7 years, Black & Decker cordless trimmer. Long time ago, my first house didn't have as much grass as I do now, and this was fantastic for what it did. Very small acreage, just trimming around flower beds and stuff like that. And then I passed it on to my in-laws to do a little bit of trimming because it is very light. My mother-in-law really wanted to do some trimming around her flower bed. So, and then recently I just found out it's died. I really have no attachment to this. However, and I should also mention, I'm not a fan of cordless as of right now. You know, as of 2023, I still think gas-powered trimmers or gas-powered handheld equipment is the way to go. And before the hate mail starts, you got to understand that I do a lot of repairs on gasoline-powered stuff. It's my livelihood, and I have a real good attachment to that. I'm not saying that they don't have their place. I'm just saying right now, I'm not a huge fan. But I am curious to see what makes these things actually go. Like this is older technology, granted, but I want to know what's inside, and I want to know if I can fix it. If you want to see all that, stick around. All right, so right off the hop here, I know before I even get started, I'm going to need a multimeter because that's the easiest way to check for electricity, unless you want to stick your tongue on a battery. Not going to do on this. It's just not going to happen. It's 12-volt battery. I know that because if you read on the unit here, it actually says 12-volt DC type 2. Not sure what that means, but we're going to open it up and see what's going on, because right now I've had it on charge for a couple of days now, and if I pull the trigger, nothing happens. That's all I'm getting. Definitely not enough to cut grass. So I'm wondering if it's the battery that may be weak, or if it's the actual little wall charger. So let's get into this battery, put the multimeter on it, and maybe give it a charge on a good charger, something that's a little bit less dainty, and see how it goes. Okay, so clearly after pulling all the screws out, it just falls apart. Oop, I don't want to lose anything. So that was pretty simple. And what do we have in here? Well, it looks pretty straightforward when you take a look at it from the inside. You got your battery. I mean, it's a fairly large battery. If we read the specs on it, it's 3.6 amps per hour. Now, in today's technology, that's not super large. However, it's a decent battery. We also have your charge port over here. Obviously goes into your battery, and then a simple switch on off, and then it powers up this cord down all the way up to the trimmer head, which I'm assuming has a motor inside. So how about we do some tests on the battery, see what the voltage is at, and maybe we can determine what the issue is. All right, so if I power up my meter, and I'm going to have it on the scale that reads up to 20 volts because we need at least 12. So normally on a 12-volt battery, you're looking for 12.5, 12.6 volts would be optimal. If we have any less than that, it could be an indication of a low battery. So let's go positive to negative, and we have 12, oh, 13. Wow, that's impressive. So that tells me that this battery should be in good shape. So it could be that the motor is kind of on its way out. So there's a few other things we're going to test, and that's going to be, we're going to test, well, we know the trigger works, because if we push on this button, we have something going on. And then of course it quits. So another way we can do that, and I don't recommend this at home, but just to eliminate the switch, I'm going to jump it. And you got to be careful, because you could definitely cause a short if you're not careful here. It should do the same thing. And I can hear it ticking. So It's not the switch. So what else do we have in here? I honestly thought, guys, that the battery was going to be the issue, but it sounds like we're taking the head apart and making sure that it's not the problem. But we're also going to look for just bad connections. You know, maybe it's just something where it might be showing 12 volts, or sorry, 13 volts in our case, and it's just not making its way to the engine. Or I'm going to call it an engine. See, this is how much gasoline stuff I fix. Making its way to the electric motor. So what carries that fuel, so to speak? Well, you got your cables, right? So if these wires are burnt out, or if they're not in good connection to the fuel source, which is the battery, it's not going to power it. So I'm going to just clean up some connections here, and if that doesn't make any changes, we're going to take that apart. Well, unfortunately, I'm not getting any luck. All the connections seem to be good. The switch is good. Up to where I see with the cables, they seem okay. So let's take the power head apart and see how it looks. I was in the process of removing the guard here, guys, and then I saw something moving, and check this out. Look at the size of this little spider. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take him, if I can get him on my screwdriver, I'm going to bring him outside in the wilderness where he belongs. All right, come on, little guy. Make our way outside here. Where can I put you that's going to be safe? I'm thinking the grass might be good. Lots of fuddies in there. Where did you go? Oh, you're on the other side. You're moving around. There you go, buddy. There you go. All right, now I can get back to work here. And what do we have here? Oh, okay, that's a little different. As expected, we have an electric motor, but what I didn't expect is to see a reduction gear, because I would assume that most of the newer ones will probably be direct drive with a large motor. This is a pretty small motor, so maybe that's why they got reduction gear, but kind of smart because you can use a smaller battery, clearly. So this is, it's kind of cool. Now, there's really not much written on this motor though. There's just, it's made by Leschi, and there's a part number, looks like. So hopefully this is not a bad motor. Nothing on the back, no. Just a tiny little thing. Interesting, all right. So at this point, what I think I want to do here, if I know how to put this back together, I'm going to take my multimeter. We're going to set it to ohms, and we're going to read some resistance, and hopefully we get something more than just a dead short. And we're going to see what that is. Let me see if I can set the meter here so you guys can read it as well. So a dead short would be this here. We have a tone. Hopefully it's not what we get here. Uh-oh. I don't know. I would have expected some kind of resistance. So what do we get as resistance here? Well, very, very little. And do we get something more than that? It might be just has to be a little bit of resistance. Ooh, okay, what if I change my ohm readings here? So if we, it's about 0.5. Okay, there, it's very little. What was that, 0.8? Again, I'm not an expert on electric motors. I would have assumed a little bit more resistance due to the windings in there. However, maybe it's a really efficient motor and it doesn't need a lot of windings. I don't know. So that's kind of suspicious at this point. But the other thing I want to do is, just for fun, I'm gonna put the battery on a other charger, something that, well, here, I'll bring the charger out here. So this is a Yuasa charger, it's a 1 amp. I'm not sponsored by anybody, by the way. It's just I've had good luck saving ATV batteries, motorcycle batteries with this particular charger. So maybe we can do that with this one, because those little wall chargers, I don't know. I don't know, maybe I'm off, I have no idea. So we're gonna plug that in, and something I wanna do as well is I'm gonna take this wall charger, speaking of which, am I gonna be able to plug it into the wall here? And I can. And I also wanna read the voltage on this. So we're gonna put it, it's an output of 12 volts, give or take, DC, right? So let's do this again. And we're just gonna take, I don't know which one's which, so it won't matter because my meter will just read it backwards. So let's go take the negative, we'll go in the center, positive in on the side. Yeah, so it's actually positive in the middle, in the center. And all right, so we got 14.6. So it's charging. It's providing some voltage at least to the battery. So we can rule that out. So the wall charger is doing something. So let's plug the battery in. We'll let it sit overnight. We'll hope that because it does have a fault indication on the bottom, and we'll hope that it doesn't give us a fault and it actually charges it up, and maybe this is the issue. Maybe it's providing voltage, but it's not providing any amperage. Anyways, I will see you back tomorrow. All right, guys, so it's the next day, and I got the battery put back into the unit, and unfortunately, it didn't pass. It actually said fault on the charger. I had it all plugged in all night, and it didn't change anything. And actually, just to show you here, I'm getting the same results. I'm getting very, very slow speeds. So, I don't know. Now I'm confused a little bit because I thought for sure the battery was good. The charger's telling me it's not. And I thought for sure it was going to read high resistance in the motor. And I'm not. It's clearly working somewhat. So, last night as I was thinking about this, I devised a test. And that's why I'm sitting here on top of the quad here, because I wanted to be able to isolate the motor. Like, how was I going to test the motor without using this battery and going to spend the money for another battery? I don't know how much they are. And I thought, well, this is a 12 volt battery, so what if I just attach some leads to see if this motor actually reacts differently? So I'm going to go get some leads and cross my fingers. Okay, so I've got some little alligator clips here. I'll put all this stuff in the description box. The charger, these little things, whatever might be handy if you guys are doing this. I did these a long time ago. I soldered them. And these are test leads that I've used for testing, you know, electric motors for, let's say, full drive actuators, those kind of things on ATVs. And anyways, they'd come in handy. So let's see if they will come in handy again by, I'm going to isolate this battery. So let's take this out, put it up here. And then being very cautious to not arc these together. I don't want to blow anything up. I'm going to connect the red to the red wire, which was the positive. And then we're going to do the same thing with the negative. I'm going to go black to the other black. Do not fall. If you guys are doing this, be careful that you don't cause a fire. All right, so now let's see if I activate the switch. It's going to do anything. Whoa! Okay, that's just a gearbox that popped out. What is going on? It's actually... Are you serious? Okay, I can't hold it in place. It's not like wedged up, but... Okay, let's see. It's working! Okay, that squeal is because it's... I'm guessing it's because it's not all popped in place and the bearings are all weird. But it's working. So is it possible that battery is just dead? It's got a bad cell in it? And it's not producing any amperage? It's got lots of voltage. Like it's... Okay, so yeah, it's working really well. So it's definitely not the motor. Alright, so I'm going to do some research on this battery, see what they're worth. Cool. All right, after some digging on the old Google, I entered BP 3.6-12, and that brought me to a couple of batteries. You can find them. I like to shop Amazon. Again, not sponsored, but you can get them there. But I want to know if I can get them locally as well. And they also go under another name, which I don't know if it has anything to do with it, but there was more selection under UB1234 as a battery number. So I'm going to take this out, go for a little drive. We have a local shop that does only batteries, and with any luck, they'll have it here and I won't have to wait for it. So I'll be right back. Finally, luck is on my side. They actually had one in stock, and it was a really good price too. So I ended up obviously picking it up. The only thing I'm a little bit bummed out about is that one there is a 3.6 amps per hour. This one's 3.2, but they are identical in size. They got the same F1 style terminals, so it's gonna fit right in. And honestly, for the $20 or something like that I paid for it, I'm pretty happy with it. So let's do this right now. Let's plug this in, this new one. It's supposed to be charged. Let's put these in. Let's drop it in place. Trigger back in place. I'm going to hold everything up here. And what do we get? Well, I'll be. I should have known, I suppose. What is the weakest point of any battery-powered tool? Well, it's the battery, apparently. So, let's throw it back together. Let's go do a little bit of grass cutting. See if it works really well. Okay, and so there you have it. And now she's working. Now the only thing, I have repaired, if you guys remember I took a little snapshot of what the head looked like. I have re-spooled it, but I'm going to open it up again because I forgot to put it in the video, and I'll just do it real quick because this one's different. I've never seen one quite like this. So it's an AFS automatic feed spool. So it's actually quite interesting, which is why I want to do it. So normally you'd have a button on here and you have to tap the button and it would give you more string. Well, this one has a little flyweight and it catches up in these gears. So I guess as the string gets shorter, the motor will spin a little bit faster, which will allow, I'm assuming, the flyweights to fly out and allow a little bit more string to come out bit by bit. So that's kind of neat. It's been a long time since I've used this. Can't remember exactly how well it worked, but let's put it back together and let's go see. The one thing I remember about this thing was that it had an edger, so you could just kind of follow along. So let's see if I can use that. Well, it works. I don't know. Still not sold on the battery stuff. I know I get it. This is an older technology one, guys, but I like gas. At least my gas one, I could put a blade on it, do a little bit more work. However, we fixed it, and I cannot deny fixing it for 20 bucks. That's kind of impressive. That's an advantage, because anything gasoline, if it's more than a carb kit, you're looking at a bunch of money. So it's got that for it. But I think that's going to be the end of this video, guys. So I hope you really enjoyed it. If you did like it, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.